Okay, and you can see where you are, right there.
Lovely.
Okay.
Really, that's
over to
quite
you.
disturbing, seeing myself on screen as I'm
This is for
doing
students who are not here this week, who are arriving in the next week or so.
Yeah.
If you introduce yourself and what you do, and then they'll know as well.
Exactly,
Over to you.
no problem. Right, so let's see if I can make this technology work. Even more embarrassing if I really can't when I'm being recorded. That's
It'll
not
be my fault
happening.
if it doesn't. Maybe it is the other one.
That's okay.
No, use the right thing, but you need to be on the window. Like,
Need to be.
so that you need to
Pressing
work
this.
down. If that remote isn't working, that you need to have like the open window being that presentation.
It's good we've got techie people.
Thank
I
you.
hope this will be edited out.
Apologies to those of you
So on the
watching
tab,
from afar.
at the
Oh,
bottom,
on the tab, right,
you
there we
click on
go.
the presentation, so that's
No,
the one
that's-
like,
Display.
yeah,
Active window.
That's the one. Thank you.
that's the word.
Let's show you.
Oh, okay.
Come along.
That was painful.
And am I using the up or am I using the down?
Is that now?
Hey. Thank you. Thank you. It's good to have intelligent people in the room. Okay, so this is me. I'm Caroline Huxtable. Some of you may have met me before if you've been at Exeter before. And I'm the subject librarian for the whole College of Engineering, Maths and Physical Sciences. So these are just my contact details, how you get hold of me. Feel free to drop me an email, give me a ring, pop in any time with any library queries. What I plan to do today is just cover the basics, really. So, as I say, some of you have been at Exeter already may know some of this. I will touch on some additional stuff at the end. So, just to talk about our libraries, I'm aware that physicists often don't come into the physical building, but just in case you ever feel the need to actually borrow a book, then this is where we are. So the Forum Library is obviously over in the Forum, under the wavy roof. We do open 24/7. All year round, apart from I think Christmas Day. So if you do feel the need to come in and work in the library at midnight, you're more than welcome. So the bulk of our undergraduate and other collections are there. You may also want to use the Research Commons. For those of you who don't know where that is, it's near the chapel. It's a couple of minutes walk away from the Forum Library. That's where we have our older research materials. So you may find some of the materials you're requiring are over there, if indeed you're planning to use books at all, which you may or may not be. We also have bookable study desks for researchers, which again, I always draw attention to this, but quite possibly you'll find yourself much more working in labs here, working within the building itself, but those are available, and a couple of the other of our libraries too. Again, I've mentioned 24/7 opening. Everything now is as much self-service as we can possibly make it, so issue and return is all on a self-service basis. That frees the library staff up to deal with inquiries and to do with more in-depth kind of stuff. Lots of different study spaces, multimedia facilities. If you do plan to come and work in the library, it's all Wi-Fi, so you can bring your own device. But we also do have PC clusters on every level. So we have 3 levels in the library where you can go, they're all open access, not bookable, just turn up and use them, and printing and scanning available. So, for those who've been at Exeter before and may have used the library, your borrowing rate is upped considerably. Where it was 15 items, you can now borrow 40 items at a time. That's books and journals. I mentioned express collections just because it's a generic slide. That's unlikely to be so appropriate to you. It's mainly the undergraduate core texts through express collections. You will mainly be borrowing, if at all, from the normal loan items. So most items now go out for 28 days at a time. Be aware that at any point anyone can request an item that you have on loan and recall it, and at that point you'll get an email prompting you to bring it back within 7 days. So anything can go down to 7 days if it's needed by someone else. Most of our journals are online now, but we do still have some print collections, and if you are needing to refer to something that's a bit older, then you will definitely need the print collections, and they are housed in the Research Commons that I mentioned earlier. Those you can borrow for 7 days at a time. But I'm guessing that most of what you'll be needing is going to be available online via our electronic resources. It's up to you to manage your loans, your borrowing, anything to do with the library. So renew books as many times as you like, request items be transferred from another library, or request items that other people have got on loan. book express collection items if there is anything in there. There might potentially be something that's a key text for researchers as well as undergraduates, and that may be the only copy available, so you can book it ahead of time so you have it for when you need it. And just be aware that in common with most libraries, we do charge fines for anything that's overdue or has been recalled. So basic thing to remember, the key message from this is just keep checking your email. I'm sure you'll be needing to check your university email every day anyway, so any messages from the library come in that route. So just keep an eye out for things that have been recalled, or if you've requested something, that will tell you when it's available for you. So I am not going to demonstrate the catalogue to postgraduates, because postgraduates know how to do searches on catalogues, I'm sure. I will show you in a minute via My Exeter how we access our main search screens. But I just wanted to point this out to you as what you will see in front of you when you actually come to search for resources, and point out the three main areas of the screen. So I'm hoping this is now going to do what I wanted to do. Yes, so the library catalogue search is just our basic search for all our resources, title, keyword, author, searches for print and online resources. The library article search I never used to mention. It's the bane of my life. I don't like it. But last year, and it used to be hidden away on our website, but last year it got put on the main search screen, so I have to touch on it at least. And it's basically possibly a useful tool for an undergraduate who's just starting out on a piece of work. You can search for a particular article, or you can search by keyword, but what it pulls out will just be from a subset of our resources. It doesn't search all our resources. So at your level, where you're going to be needed to be much more comprehensive in your searching and really find out what the literature is, I would advise ignoring that completely and going straight to using the resources in the electronic library. So your catalogue is good for getting to your books and your journals, and once you know what the online resources are that you need, equally you can get to those for the catalogue. But as I will say in a moment, with the electronic library, it would be a good idea to orientate yourself to the physics resources there first, and then rather than going through that stage every time, you can go straight to them from the catalogue. But I would say, for your purposes, ignore that middle screen altogether. And those are your routes to those resources. Do most of you think you'll be using My Exeter as your route into? Yeah. Those of you at Exeter, probably that you'll continue to do it. That's the main student portal, your main route to most things that you need. So I would suggest that that's your best route to anything to do with the library. As I'll show you in a sec, there's a library tab, and that will take you to this screen and to various other things. So I mentioned the electronic library, and I would say that that is your best route in. Initially, start to familiarise yourself with the resources that are available, research databases such as ISI, Web of Science, Scopus, IEEE Explore, all kinds of different databases and electronic journals and all sorts of things we have. Once you're familiar, as I say, and have got used to what we have available, then you can just whack them straight into the catalogue and search them that way and go straight into them, rather than having to go through the slight rigmarole that I'll show you in a second. But we do recommend that when you're accessing resources, nothing wrong with looking for stuff in Google or Google Scholar, other than that they're not very sophisticated in terms of the way you search. You will get millions of results, as you know, may or may not be useful, not really particularly filtered by any kind of relevance, or who knows what it does really. But if you go in via our searches, then you are looking at resources that are peer-reviewed, scholarly materials, but also because you've logged in with your University of Exeter credentials, you will get access to the full text where we subscribe to it. So you're not going to do that whole horrible fiddly thing you do perhaps in Google. You find the perfect thing, try to get the full text, and only to be denied access. So I would recommend our actual official routes to get to stuff. In terms of usernames and passwords, most materials it's just University of Exeter credentials, just your email, username and password. Just occasionally you'll need a different password, particularly if you're off campus, or you may need to register for some services the first time you use them. To be honest, for physics it hardly ever applies, so you should be mainly okay with just the usual username and password. But as we'll see in a second, we do have a list of usernames and passwords that you can check if you find that you can't get into something. This, I'm probably preaching to the converted with the next slide. I'm sure you know all this. But research databases, as I'm hoping and I expect that you know, things like ISI, Web of Science, Scopus, that sort of thing, are going to be a key part of your research when you talk about research in the literature. And I just really keep this slide in because I want to draw attention to the fact that, as you're perhaps already aware, many of these databases don't offer full text access directly. They're not repositories of full text. They are indexing and abstracting databases that tell you what the literature is. They are fantastic to use in the sense that because they are updated, usually daily, a lot of them, you've got all the most recent research in there, and they index masses of publications, so you will get a very comprehensive view of the literature. So the reason I do have this slide in, apart from sort of harping on about them slightly, is to point out this logo here, this little icon, which you will see in all the research databases. So when you've done your search, you'll be able to click on that to find out whether we actually have the full text. So that's your main route to finding out whether full text is available at Exeter. And hopefully most things that you need will be. If not, we have an interlibrary loans service. Just look on our website and that will just type that in, and you can order things from other libraries. And a lot of the articles we get now come online rather than as print copies. If in doubt about how to pay for those, have a word with your supervisor, and they will tell you about interlibrary loan tokens, which are now virtual numbers really, but they basically pay for your interlibrary loan. Now, I'm just going to touch on these next two slides because in a couple of weeks my colleagues from the Open Access team will be coming to give you a talk. But I spoke to Alistair a couple of weeks ago, Alistair Hibbins, and he did ask me to touch on these and just to mention a couple of things in relation to them. So, open access, I don't know how many of you are aware of a big drive towards open access now, very much in the UK scholarly community, but it's becoming increasingly a worldwide phenomenon. And it's really the concept of making research, which is publicly funded very often, available to the public free of charge, so free at the point of use. A couple of ways you can do that. You can use our repository, which I'm not convinced is actually on that slide, but if you take one of these at the end, that should have the URL. It's called OR. So if you just pop OR into the university web pages, it will find it. In any case, my colleagues will tell you more when they speak to you. So you can either make your research available in an institutional repository like ours, or you can pay, or rather the funder will pay, to make something available instantly via the actual official journal. That's called Gold Open Access. But Alistair did ask me to make sure you were aware that you will be encouraged to make as much of your work as possible open access. There are constraints on that, principally whether the publisher of the journal you want to publish in allows it, whether there's an embargo on it. It's all their bottom line in a way, isn't it? Whether they're getting the money that people would otherwise pay to subscribe. So, but he's very keen for me to make you know that it will be expected of you that you make your research open access, and just come and ask me or come and ask the open access team for more information as and when you get to that point. Equally, research data management is going to be a massive thing for you. Increasingly, research funders expect you to at least make it clear where your research is stored, but as much as possible that you store your data publicly as well, where ethically possible, and all the rest of it. So again, my colleagues will be talking to you in more detail about this. Again, the research data is stored in OR in the repository alongside journal articles and theses and other stuff. And Alistair, what did he ask me to say? That the CDT has purchased some external cloud storage because you will be producing masses of data, and so they bought some storage which is going to be able to cope with the capacity of the data that you're producing. And I think that's all I need to say about that. I'm not the expert on this, so I don't want to say all the wrong things and preempt my colleagues either. So you will learn more about that in a couple of weeks. And finally, when you come to the point of submitting your thesis, that again has to go into OR, into our repository. There we go. I thought I put the URL up. But again, as I say, just type ORE into our search engine, that will find it. So you'll be expected to make your thesis open access in OR. However, if your research is going to be published in journal articles and you want to make use of that research later, you can put an embargo on it for about 18 months up to 5 years so that you can get the benefit of publishing that research later. Because anything actually in OR is considered already published, and that will not go down well with a lot of journal publishers. So, but that's a few years off yet anyway. So, and if you are interested in seeing other UK theses to find out what else has been written at this kind of level, then the Ethos service from the British Library gives you access, a lot of times in full text, to the digital versions of UK theses. I have a feeling, oh no, one more slide. So the library has some supporting research web pages, lots of information there, not only on library services, but there's lots of links to research toolkit and all kinds of other stuff that's provided by the rest of the university. It's a one-stop shop that you can access those sorts of information, those sorts of materials. Research toolkit is there, for example. And just to touch on a few sources of help and information, I mentioned those pages. You'll probably be told, I expect, at some point about the research and development programme. All researchers need to sign up for various courses on that, some of which the library teaches on, things like EndNote, all kinds of useful sessions on all kinds of aspects of research. Again, I've given the URL, but the easiest thing is always just to type these things into the university search pages and you'll find a research and development programme. So I think in terms of slides, that's probably it, I believe, but I just wanted to probably crouch down on the sofa now and show you, if I can, it'll be filmed at the same time, we will see, whether this stuff works with the web page. I'd just like to go very speedily into the electronic library and just give you a sense of that before I finish. Glad I've got someone here who's
attempting
to wrangle the technology into submission.
There we go. If I leave you
That's
with that
perfect. There. So why is nothing showing on the screen? I wonder.
Oh, because hang on. I've not tried doing it with a web page.
I really hope it's a good editing tool in this recording thing. You know, the whole flapping around at the beginning. Not a good look, is it? And you know, struggling with the technology. Any questions while we're waiting for that to load in? Thoughts, comments, anything? I think I've probably missed the burning question.
That's all right.
Been a long day, so lots of information.
Right, I don't think that is something I can make work with this particular.
Oh, okay. That's not a problem.
Just drag it across.
This is a very good idea.
I wish I was young again. Oh, look at that.
Yeah,
That's
so
rather
that'll-
unfortunate that I seem to be. Oh no.
No.
Let's do that.
So this will work for you. Oh no, but it's
Your
not
face
that.
is zoomed into shot.
Hang on. It's not that we need though. Hang on. Oh dear. I've done that all wrong.
It's not a deal breaker. It's not the end of the world if I don't. It's just nice to kind of show you what I'm talking about, really.
It's hurting my neck actually. Hang on.
It's really nice standing here. It's a very cool spot.
Go left.
I would if I could see a mouse.
Keep going left.
You're doing well.
Something else on the screen. That's on your laptop now.
Someone wants to come do this. Ah, right,
No, you
okay.
must
Ah,
not
I
do
see
it.
how this works. Apologies, viewers. So what I actually need is this one for you guys. Ta-da.
Hey.
That's more like it.
Now, folks, can I use this or not? Can I point at things on there or not so much?
I
No.
think we've got a.
We just-
Yeah,
we
you
just
can't
fiddle
click
with
things
We
on
just
it. You
fiddle
you
with
could
what's there.
yeah.
It's all good. I'm just crouched down. That's fine. Thank you very much.
Where's my mouse
Is the
gone?
mouse?
Mouse has vanished.
Is vanished again?
Aha, there it is.
How do you see where you are at? Oh, hold on.
Well, that's what I don't know.
You have to put the mouse on that screen and look at that screen first.
Yeah.
You're gonna move it.
Hold up.
At least they're not heckling us, Rosie. This is good. Do you know what I'm saying? You could be by now throwing, if we, in earlier days the rotten fruit would have come out by now. Let's face it. I'm just grateful that you're all smiling.
My able assistant is not here, who is still taking. Sorry about this, guys. One sec.
You really will eventually.
Cup of tea. And we can edit the video later, so it will look seamless.
I think we're all glad about that.
Okay, so let's not have that pointing at you. No, I'm going to break it. So
For some reason, the technology always likes to fight back. Oh, something's looking.
there we go. So we'll just do that for the moment,
Will we?
so you're not distracted by this, and so that's
I
not
got you.
recording your face. I'll get you a chair.
Thank you. There we go. Thank you ever so much. Right, so from my Exeter, I shouldn't have done that so quickly. I should have actually shown you what I was doing. Let's go back. There we go. So from my Exeter, you can see on the right hand side there's a library tab at the top there. Your library record is in the top left. It says staff at the moment, obviously, because it's me logged into that. But it will say students, so that's where you can manage all your borrowing and so on, request items, renew your loans and so on. We're interested in the finding your resources section in the middle right there. And we just click onto that. Takes us into the screen we saw on the slide earlier. So I'm just going to now, I'm not going to insult your intelligence by doing a catalogue search. Okay, I'll talk to you about what a journal is and what a journal article is, as I was doing with the undergraduates this morning. They don't know, but I'm sure you do. So I'm just going to go down to the electronic library and just give a quick squiz at how that's laid out, just so you can feel a bit more familiar. So I mentioned usernames and passwords on the left here. If you ever do find you're struggling to get in, it should say in the list of resources whether there's a separate username and password required, and then you can click in there, log in, and that will tell you what it is. Now, the way we subdivide this is into subject, as you can see, and type of resource. Obviously there will be some crossover, maybe with computing, maybe with maths and so on, but start off by having a look at the physics stuff, maybe the engineering stuff, and see what's available. There will be crossover, but there will be some which don't overlap. Then you'll gradually get familiar with the resources you need. You don't need to do this step every single time. Just get used to what's there, and once you know what's the sort of thing you want, just go and, as I said before, buy the catalogue search. Okay, that's the quickest and easiest way. So, now see, this is where I'm going to really struggle, because I can never work out. How do you, I'm sorry to be such a, am I just doing this and then going down? Just help me something. Oh, go down here, look at this. I am so old-fashioned. My mother, my 75-year-old mother can do this. I have to do the mouse. Oh, there, look at this. We can learn, we can all learn. So, physics and astronomy. Now, you could choose a type of resource as well. Until you get familiar, I would suggest just leaving that as all types and just click on Find Resources. And then you'll see your list. And some of those with the dotted line round, they're usually trial resources, so things we only have access to for a short time. Have a little familiarisation process at some point, and you can see it's quite a long list of things, but there will be other stuff, as I say, maths, computing, engineering as well, that might be of interest to you. What have you tended to use in the past in the way of sort of research databases and doing the literature searching? Be honest, yeah. Yeah. As I say, at researcher level, probably not going to be sufficient. Yes, unless your supervisor then tells you otherwise, in which case, just do what they say. But you know what I mean? Because you're not going, if they don't do sophisticated search, you can't do sophisticated search on people. So. And sorry, other people said other things.
Web of Science.
Web of Science, yeah.
Science Direct.
Science Direct, yeah.
Sorry, just ask.
Yeah.
You know that we can access all the sort of some of the paid items on Science Direct with the Exeter login details.
Yes.
Is there any other websites like that available for physicists?
I would suggest having a look through, because I don't know all the resources. I mean, there's IEEE, there's all kinds of different things, but I don't know all the resources in that much depth and what they offer. But that is a key point actually to make, because you just said that with Science Direct, we have access to some of the resources that we pay for. So you will often go into some of these databases. That's a full text database. and find some resources you can access, some you can't, depends what you subscribe to. I will just go, as some of you mentioned Web of Science, I will just show you how the, lost my mouse, where's he gone? There it is. Oh dear. Yes, I can see it, I'm just very slow, as I say. My mother's much better at this than I am. Oh lordy, there we go. Web of Science. So, anyone want to suggest me a quick search, just so I can show you how you log through to full text?
Oil spill times Mediterranean.
Yeah, ha ha ha. There was once upon a time where you could actually highlight that and just whack it in, but now I actually have to type it all in. Come on, something more relevant to you. You can't think of anything, can you? Oh, that's a brilliant idea. How did I not think of that? Is anything actually happening? Oh dear, oh lord. I definitely have clicked out of the box. I don't know what I hit.
When you type on these, you often hit the touchpad by accident.
I'm sure that's what I did. I felt my little finger touch something it wasn't supposed to be touching. Sorry, that's just ignore that remark. I think we leave it. Shall we leave it? Yeah, I think we leave it. I think you can work it out. Basically, what you look for is something the top says find full text, and you click through either of those logos there, and that takes you to full text available. The key thing to remember is a massive thing like this isn't going to have everything. Everything we subscribe to is just a small subset of what's in there, so you won't always find full text. But those are your quick routes into finding it. I don't know about you, but it's quite hot in here, so I think it's time to stop, isn't it? Any other questions? You've got me, well, take my cards and they have my contact details, take any of the other materials you're interested in, and then you can always get in touch. Once you actually started to do the work, and you kind of know what you need to ask. All right? Thank you very much for your time. And thank you for being patient with the technology brought back. It's always... Yes, exactly. And they do it all the time to me, I don't know what it is. Right.
The timetable here, I'll just put shortly out. Willing helpers as ever are most welcome. It's 4 o'clock over in the Harrison foyer, the poster event, and taster talks from 5 in Harrison, lecture theatre 4, which as you're walk into the entry foyer of Harrison is just down 2 stairs on your right hand side, lecture theatre 4. But
you got some more coming, have you? Oh, I'm trying to avoid biscuits. Have you? Well, how did you manage to wind it up?
15 minutes.
Maybe it was petrol. Yeah, petrol. Maybe Misha. Misha, we know where Misha was. He's the little one. Come on now.
sorry.
Do you want anything else brought in, or is that it?
No, that's brilliant, thanks.
I'm gonna go. I like one of the 3 exam conferences
That's the way they always provide you this tablecloth when you do these things. You know, it's fine living, isn't it? Fine living, the white tablecloth.
So it's when they've come here like 3 times for
Oh, I see what you mean. You don't really need the 3 tablecloth.
yeah. Thank you, Michael.
Yes, I go for another coffee in a minute. I do try to limit my intake, but I've been racing around today.
Yes, I
need
might
for
have
more
2 minutes
caffeine.
today.
Yeah, you're a bit
Stop on this thing.
Oh, is it still recording me? Right, was it
Do you know,
twittering on?
I'm not sure.
It probably
Did I
is.
hit stop? No, not yet.
Oh dear.